background on the location here where we are, we're in the townland of Glen. Glen starts at the crossroads just about a mile back down below us here. We're approximately 525 feet above sea level, and the terrain on this farm continues to rise out behind us here. The majority of this land sits in the catchment area of Loch Melvin, and Loch Melvin is traditionally known for its unique species of trout, Gillaroo being the main one. Where we are at the moment, our farm is in total 425 acres. This farm in particular here extends to about 225 acres, give or take. And the other farm we're going to go to later on is 200 acres, just over 200 acres. So our farm is run as a suckler, store and beef finishing unit, and as a commercial sheep flock as well. And the farming practice is based on a low input grass-based system on both holdings. That's the way we see it.
So I suppose from a botanical perspective, this, as Oliver said, this field is in EFS, and EFS puts all habitats into neat boxes. And I have a botanist of 25 years experience, and I struggle to put this kind of landscape into neat boxes. It doesn't fit. So this field on Oliver's plan is a mix of purple moorgrass and rush pasture grassland, which is predominantly what we're standing on, and then it grades into wet heath, and basically it's as the peat. We're on shallow peaty soils here with some mineral influences, and some of the species give us a clue. We'll see them in a minute. But as the peat gets deeper, it gets more heathery, more sphagnum, and so this would be classed as a mosaic, which creates its own challenges for grazing anyway. But when you're in a scheme and you've got a set of rules for habitat A and a set of rules for habitat B, and then they're mashed together in one field, you end up with the worst of both scenarios in terms of dates and stocking rates, so it's not ideal.
Our situation here is we're probably about just approximately 12 miles outside Enniskillen, just west of Enniskillen. This one is different from the other farm in that we're in a different catchment area. We're in the Erin catchment. And this farm is different from the previous farm in that it's a limestone type grassland farm, rich limestone, more intensively managed over the years. However, we would argue that our core principles of farming are exactly the same as the other farm. It's soil health is number one. So. Our farming environment and sustainability, first of all. Continuing from our discussion in Glen, we consider soil health to be central to everything we do in decision making. Whether this be on the lowland limestone rich soil we have here or the higher ground that we just visited. We consider that protecting these soils and plant mixes within it must work in a commercial farming system. Part of ensuring this works is environmental schemes such as the current EFS and previous schemes which were very effective. I think the importance of such schemes going forward cannot be underestimated. We have recently received soil analysis for all areas of the farm, and feedback would suggest that a correction in pH levels is required, particularly on higher ground. The application of lime would resolve this and, by default, enhance the productive nature of this soil, resulting in increased grass growth. However, we would be concerned, and we would, with an approach such as this, as we know, lime would potentially have a devastating effect on these habitats and would potentially erode the effect of leaving these natural environments to prosper in diverse plant life and the abundance of invertebrates which are a common fold. Significant volumes of hedge and tree planting has occurred on field boundaries, which has not only increased biodiversity but also improved biosecurity for livestock. The EFS scheme adopted on this farm wouldn't have been possible without the external help of Ulster Wildlife and their team. They provided significant guidance in developing our plans and what works for this farm specifically. They understand not every farm is the same and that a blanket approach simply will not work. So grass is our best feed, no ad lib meal feeding and silage testing. Cattle grazed at grass is the most efficient way we can feed cattle and change them. It's the most efficient system we can adopt. Given our rainfall, the farm can grow grass efficiently and in exceptional volumes, both with and without artificial fertiliser. Except for EFS higher ground, all areas of the farm will receive at least one application of natural fertiliser per year. When cattle are subsequently housed for the winter period, silage is tested and fed to cows ad lib and to store and finish in cattle as a TMR. The silage is normally mixed with a 16% protein beef nut and spent grain from a local distillery, which I believe we're going to see later on. Cattle in their final weeks prior to slaughter will see an increase in the beef nut mix. However, we have noticed that the Aberdeen Angus are fleshing much easier and faster than other breeds. Notably, we are not ad lib feeding in the final finishing stage, and we believe this is not required on native bred cattle, as they will simply develop too much fat cover. We see the silage mixed with beef nut and spent grain as being a good, sustainable compromise for indoor feeding. As a farmer, it is very clear that the political and social landscape in which we are farming is changing rapidly, and different demands are going to be placed on farmers going forward. This is nothing new to farmers. For example, the subsidy regime of the 80s and 90s dictated a certain type of farming, and the current support systems changed that to what we have today. Going forward, it is clear there will be change again. We as farmers will embrace that, but as we did in the past, we must be supported on that journey.